Welcome to The Beacon by Soul 33, teachings for your past, present and future. Good morning, everyone. It is the 1st of April, 2024. We've made it into the 4th month of the year. Now, if you're listening to this on the Beacon app, on YouTube, on Spotify, please don't forget to let people know that this app exists. I keep the payment gateway off the app stores, and this is why I can give you the app at $60 a year, because if it was on the platforms, they take a lot. And so this is why other apps charge like $25 a month, because they're very expensive to create and they're very expensive to have out in the world. So your support means so much to me. So if you haven't tagged or let people know that this app exists, please do, because it helps me grow the platform to create more resources to help you with your spiritual growth. I can't believe it's April. And today is actually my grandfather's death anniversary. And I remember this day so clearly. I was 10 the day that he passed away, and I was visiting Malaysia with my then 1-year-old sister, because she's 10 years younger, and my mum. I think my dad was there too. I remember my mum was there. I think my dad came later when my granddad had passed away. So it's a funny beginning of the month, because I haven't seen my grandfather obviously physically in 30 years, 31 years. But that's how I'm starting the month, with that anniversary. And we had the full moon lunar eclipse last week. I don't know about you, but it was very destabilizing. And now I really realize why Spirit had set that Monday mantra the week before. Instability is a segue for an upgrade, creating my stability, because that instability had started for me the week before, and for you in some way if you go back and consciously review. But for me, Monday afternoon, evening, night was bad. I did not sleep. That was the actual full moon night. Did not sleep. And I'm a pretty good sleeper. Didn't sleep, and then I had to be up really early because I had to pick my partner up from the airport. And that whole Tuesday, I did not feel like myself. It was bad. It was like I was going through some sort of very acute depression. And even he was like, "What's wrong with you?" And I'm like, it's the moon. It's something's going on with people, insecurities. It's like fears were coming up that I don't normally have. And it was around being controlled, people taking over. And I know this is a collective message for all, because I don't feel like these things at these times for no reason. But those were the insecurities that came up. And so on Tuesday, I was in a really bad place. But I, through the support of friends who were reminding me that this is not you, this will be collective energy, this will be client energy, this will be the part of the spiritual upgrade, I forced myself to exercise, which was so hard because I wanted to curl up and go to sleep. And I forced myself to get into the ocean. And all of that really, really, really helped. I really had to look at everything that was causing instability, including the energy at that time, because I've been taking Chinese herbs and I've been doing all sorts of things that have really shaken up the stability. But I'm feeling myself again. Took that whole day to clear whatever needed to be cleared with that full moon. When we look at last week's Monday mantra, I used new parts of myself to reach my potential with internal motivation. I really had to think about this one as I got to the end of the week, and as I am discussing with you what this could have meant for you, for us as the collective. Because that feeling was so strong in me, I realized that the internal motivation wasn't about like, oh, I suddenly have the urge to do everything. It was clearing the space to be able to reprogram ourselves, which is still part of the previous week's energy of instability as a segue to more stability. That full moon and that lunar eclipse was such a big transition towards the end of March, and a real turning point. It was a real turning point for me. I had a lot of spiritual activity last week. I'm talking about like spirits hanging out in my room. A few days ago, I wasn't even working. This is when it blows my mind even more, because when I'm working, I understand I'm wide open and I'm in that space. When I'm just living my day-to-day life, I think I was lying in bed watching Netflix on my phone, and this blue ball of light came down from the heavens. Like, I saw it and it landed right next to me. And this was 2 days after my room was just filled with spirit. And not in a bad way. Like, for me, only light comes to me because I work in the light. But it was all about the insecurities, fears. People were saying they were feeling agitated, because I asked on my Instagram how were people feeling. So I was looking at the responses coming through, irritated by everything, very emotional. I was crying at the drop of a hat over Tuesday and Wednesday. Like, everything was making me emotional. It was like this deep sadness was coming out, and it wasn't for any reason, because I've come back from this amazing trip, reunited with my partner, going back to my normal life. But it was this deep sadness of insecurities, of this feeling of like, I don't want to be controlled. I don't want anyone to make me feel powerless. But all of that was rebalanced as the week went on. And many feeling that power or loss of power are actually asked to be able to find it again. And I found mine as the week went on. And this means we have to address our insecurities, because our insecurities block our ability to receive. It blocks our ability to create abundance and prosperity. And we need to reclaim that power. And we're in a new month now. So the energy has shifted. It started to shift on Saturday, where it was like, oh, solid. The power has been restored after everything that you've been through. And I'm talking about you too. And we really need to take charge of ourselves and ownership of our lives. We can't blame other people for what's happening. And we are really needing to be accepting of ourselves. This is the one thing that's been repeating in my head: being comfortable in your own skin. And this is so applicable to all of us, because we're all maturing, getting younger, 41 years young. And I think it's really important that we accept who we are, because that's also part of the internal motivation. Because now when I think of when Spirit said internal motivation, if I had said external motivation, we would know we were meant to be doing things, like really acting. Internal motivation was clearing the way to be able to move forward, because everything starts from the inside. Everything starts from your spiritual connection. This progress that will take us to different pastures, the new pathways that have opened up spiritually and physically, will be making you look at your potential. This is why I had so much spiritual activity. I was literally like looking around me going, why are you all in here? Why is there this blue ball of light sitting next to me? And I know it was their way of going, you are clearing the way even more. This is a new pathway spiritually opening up to you, and so much more is going to become evident as to the choices that we're making. This is all applying to you too. Don't be afraid to push some of your personal boundaries to test your courage. Facing fears will help you see how they were an illusion. We're often afraid to say things. We're often afraid, even to people we love and care about, and that have known us for ages. But last week especially, it was really a time to reevaluate, because when we're feeling like our power is taken from us, we want to reevaluate what are we afraid of? What are we afraid of actually saying the truth? Because as a woman, I'm speaking for myself here, I know that I've been guilty of saying I'm okay. No, nothing's wrong, when something actually is. And that's when we have to push the boundaries and actually say, this is what the situation is. Reconnecting with soulmates in all forms, and even animals, will protect and will support, so you can trust the direction in which you're going and can handle everything that comes up. I was followed by a bee. And I know this sounds ridiculous. I was paying for parking. So I was in like a concrete parking lot in the city. And I was paying for my parking at the machine. And this bee just wouldn't go away. It followed me so far to my car. And I was thinking, okay, you've come up. And then there were other people coming to me, like my friend's father who's just passed away. He was saying to me how they live on a lifestyle block and there's never any animals, and suddenly this white rabbit has shown up and it hasn't left. And they're like, oh my goodness. So it's like, and then some people were talking about fantails in the group chat, and other people were getting touch about other animal interactions. You also might be finding that your animals, if you've got pets, are behaving weirdly or becoming even more sensitive. And that's a big thing that's also giving you messages about where your internal motivation is coming from, because those of it who are experiencing loss of some kind will have a different type of motivation, because it's like when something significant happens, you realize that nothing else really matters. All the things that you were worrying about doesn't really matter. Because that segue into last week, I was hearing from friends about jobs being offered then retracted. I was hearing about sick animals. I was hearing about all kinds of unstable, destabilizing, upsetting things that cause insecurities to come up, because suddenly you feel like you've lost power. I don't have power over that, so what do I do? But I do know that abundance is expanding, and as you realize your power and how much there is for you to reap, you start moving into this place of expansiveness. Like, my partner came home the other day and he used the word recession. And I said, oh, that word doesn't exist in my world. And I know that might sound arrogant to some of you, but I don't use that word, because I'm going to focus on what I can do. And that's when Spirit said to me, as soon as that word recession came in, Spirit said to me, oh no, we all live in excess and abundance. We live in excess and in abundance. Those are the only words that you need to remember and reprogram yourself with. We have set ourselves up for 2024. Over March, there has been a lot of opportunities to plan and prepare, and things are being given to you. You might not be able to see. Like, I had a friend who was meant to be leaving to go overseas on a day last week, and on that day or near that day, a parent of hers had a major health event, and then her mother-in-law passed away. It's like, even though those are horrible things, they were meant to be on the other side of the world that day, and something was like, this is what your internal motivation is. You need to be here right now. This opportunity is being given to you to be where it's most important. It's been a month of really realizing our potential, seeing how things that you've been worried about are actually beginning to work out. And, that can be a really hard thing to grasp, especially when things are happening where you're going, oh my God, this is a really difficult thing and I have no control over that. But it's actually underneath it all, it's needing us to come back to that place of trust. It's time to be in balance and not in conflict with what you truly desire. This is why I said to you last week, I always know what I want and I stick to it. You sometimes just have to make a decision and a choice and just make it work until something tells you that it's not working. As we moved through the week and things were starting to stabilize in a way, I was talking about needing to come back to ourselves, to have a strong stability, to back ourselves, to really know what you're doing and being true to your power. I think that's very, very important, to be able to, again, accept who we are, back ourselves, know what we're doing and why we're doing it. The card that came up for the collective was the water card. I thought this was really fascinating. I think someone messaged me, or a couple of people messaged me on Instagram, saying that they kept getting the water card on when they were pulling a card on the app. And I asked Spirit, what does this mean? Aries is a fire sign. I'm not an astrologer. I have very basic knowledge, but Aries is a fire sign, and I could feel that fire in my system. And Persian friends have been telling me, recently there's been like a fire ceremony in their culture, and there's fire in the air at the moment. And fire is not bad, but in some way we're meant to cool it down. So when I went to see my acupuncturist last week, he said your body is just so hot, which it's not. I don't usually run on heat. My body is usually cold. But he did a treatment on me with his needles to cool my body down. But I also associate water with emotions. For me, when I know there's things that are playing up in my mind that I need to release, I will always have a tsunami dream, always, in some way. And I did last week, where I was at my door. I'm looking at the door right now, and I was trying to shut it because the ocean was just rising and rising and rising, and I was like yelling out for help. Please help me shut the door. It's jammed because otherwise the water's going to get in. It didn't get in, but it was just an interesting thing on the tail end of those old insecurities that I didn't even know what was causing that instability, because it was for the collective was coming up to be cooled down, to be washed away. Emotions may have been causing disruption, turbulent energies wanting to be cleansed and soothed, but it's the calming waters that we need. Water in the form of tears, which I cried last week. Water where you can bathe, which I got into the ocean last week. Water in which you can drink. I energize my water before I drink it. Water to heal you. So remember, if you're feeling upset or you're feeling like that unstable feeling, get in some water. If you're not near the ocean or it's too cold for the ocean, you can just take a jar of water into your shower or bath and energize it with your intention, because water holds memory, and pour it on yourself as to what you want that to serve, whether it's cleansing you, clearing you, purifying you, and it works. Because, yeah, there's so much research that shows that water holds memory and can program it to what you want it to do. So the card of water came up to let us know that old parts of us were coming up to be washed away, and it might be tough to see them arise. However, what you'll be left with is potential for your transformation power to grow. Then I said we need to do a bit of a review. Like for me, I'm a real review girl, and nothing like a Mercury retrograde to review things. Where have I gained power this week? Where have I this month? Sorry, where have I lost it? Where have I gained power in March? Where have I lost it? Very important to do that monthly review, and this can be in the most minor situations. Because remember, everyday life we're usually power struggling with our partners, with our children, with our colleagues, with our clients. It's a natural thing, but this is where we want to be aware of how it's enabling us to grow or whether it's holding us back. The extended meaning of the Monday mantra: internal motivation can come from insecurities being triggered and released. In the space created from the release, tell yourself you live in excess and abundance. That is the internal motivation you need to maximize your ever-expanding potential. What a week it was, highs and lows. There's been discomfort of all sorts for many. It's been to find that internal motivation, and there's nothing like some disruption to find motivation for our potential, let me tell you. Well, for me, I am spiritual. I'm a human being also, and I too get motivated when people don't believe I can do something, or when I feel like my power's being taken away from me. How do I find that power again? Our potential to feel, our potential to connect and make choices that are different. Scarcity is not where we want to be or need to be anymore. I'll read that again. There's nothing like some sort of disruption to find motivation for our potential to feel, connect, and make choices that are different. Scarcity is not where we need to be anymore. You live in excess and you live in abundance. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here listening to this and taking in this lesson. Remember, I am always here for you, but I am only one person, and I'm doing my very, very best to see as many people as I possibly can. People are waiting to see me, but it is always the right time when your appointment comes up, because it's all divinely orchestrated. If you're needing to be on a wait list, email Kieran and just trust the timing. Forget that the appointment's there waiting to be scheduled at some point. There are other ways to connect with me. Personalized meditations and mini readings are a great way also to get brief guidance if you're needing some sort of acute help. They're not for life progression readings or anything, but if you need something now, and if you need to renew your app, having any issues, please email Kieran at soul33 at gmail.com. She will be able to help you. I was also exceptionally hungry last week. Like, I eat a lot. I eat well, but I eat a lot. And last week was even more. It's like all the energy that I was picking up from spirit. And it's like this when I work. Sometimes I can fast really well. But when I finish work, I need to eat something. And no matter what I say to myself before starting clients, at the end of my client day, I've got to eat. And it was like that last week. It was like even days without clients. It was a day of like, I need extra fuel. I need extra food to fuel my fire, and then calming it down with calming waters. Okay, we are going into this April energy. April is going to be a big month, okay? We're starting it with Mercury retrograde. Don't want you to worry about it. I mean, it is an annoying thing sometimes, especially when it comes to delays in communication, but we've got to use everything to our advantage. So we start the month with this. It goes until the 25th of April, if I'm not mistaken. So this means that part of your homework, you will see at the bottom, add in Mercury retrograde meditation. So you need to go into the Mercury retrograde section and pick one of those or all of those, or however you want to do it with the homework. We are being asked to make choices that we have in front of us. So therefore, your Monday mantra for this week is, I make choices based on what I have in front of me now. I make choices based on what I have in front of me now. This is a time of reflection, reevaluation, and conscious review in how we communicate. This includes how we choose to think and respect ourselves. We don't need to worry, as over the last month we've been restoring our power and rising up in a way that enables us to be less dependent, but more interdependent. Interdependent working with the universe, interdependent working with certain people, that collaboration. Finances come up again this week. I talk about it in the form of excess and abundance, but that applies to every area of my life and yours. But this week, we live in excess, we live in abundance, is the programming you need to reiterate. It's like your choices based on what you have in front of you now are going to determine whether you're going to be living in excess or in abundance. You might want to review your choice in how you think about money this week, and look at your financial flow situation. Delays can happen with Mercury retrograde, but it's not to work against us. It's actually going to help us stop to be sure of what steps we're taking next. What choices will you need to make this week? So have a look as the days go by. What are you choosing from the moment you wake up? Big or small ways in the way that you think, expansive thoughts or thoughts of scarcity. And you might find that some things may be postponed, meaning that you do something and then, like my friend with her trip, she can't go on her trip because there's been a bereavement and also an ill parent. Things are being postponed, but it's not for a bad thing. It's for important things that you need to be present for now, because choice is about now. This week, you want to choose to surround yourself with people that are positive, where you're comfortable being who you are. This is a really big theme throughout the month. I'm just looking at other notes that I've made here. April's really about reevaluation, independence, but with interdependence. It's also about loyalty. Who are you loyal to, and why are you loyal to them? Are you loyal to yourself, loyal to your organization, loyal to your partner, loyal to your children, that loyal word is coming up a lot. So really have a think about whether you're loyal to yourself, because you might be finding yourself finding this new power, and then a review of friends and acquaintances need to be done, because are people afraid of your power or not wanting you to be who you are because it's somehow triggering their insecurity? Do what is necessary this week, but also doing it from a place of being unapologetically you. Like for me, the more time goes on, I just really want to be more of myself in all ways. And I think that's something that Spirit's asking of all of us in order for us to really accept who we are and make the right choices for us. They want us also to review the bigger picture. So before we make choices for the now, look at the bigger picture. What is it that you're wanting? Because once we know that, then you can make choices accordingly. What I have to do, what I need to do is what Spirit's telling me now. New thoughts and ideas are coming in, and Spirit says we're allowed to change our minds. I laughed about this because I don't change my mind that much. So I'm going to find this fascinating going through this week. What am I changing my mind on? But when I look back in life, who I thought I wanted to be, who I thought I needed to be, that has completely changed. And I feel like that's what Spirit means. It's like we're allowed to change our mind, and what you thought you might have wanted, you might not want anymore. And this isn't a big scale or a small scale, because like I said, when big things happen, it makes us reevaluate, like, do I actually want that, or is that going to be far too much of an opportunity cost, because this is actually what's most important now. This Mercury retrograde period is reevaluating and reflecting on what you want, the choices that you're making. There is going to be some polarity of doing things and allowing delays to give you time rather than holding you back. Work with the polarity of being independent, but also being around people that lift you up. The push and the pull will take you where you need to go. Okay, you're going to have a new upload this week for April. Remember, I'm creating monthly meditations this year that you can do every April of every year for the rest of our lives. But now we're going to take a moment. So if you are driving, don't do this, just listen, but close your eyes for a moment. And just know that we're getting Mercury on side to help us trust any delays or postponements in our lives, to know that we will be conscious of our communication and they will reflect the choices that we're making, meaning that every word that we speak this week, every thought that we speak, that we think this week, is knowing what the bigger picture is, but also enabling us to make choices that are going to support that. Your Monday mantra: I make choices based on what I have in front of me now. I make choices based on what I have in front of me now. Remember, I'm here for you. Kieran is the person to email, soul33@gmail.com. I've had a massive upgrade in the last week, so I'm looking forward to seeing clients this week. I've got quite a few people flying in from different places to see me, I believe. And when it's your time, it'll be your time. Trust the timing, trust yourself. Know that your power has been restored. And this month is about justice, loyalty, independence, interdependence. You're going to watch and see that transpire across the globe.